Hi, welcome. Today we're going to make some basic pesto sauce. I'm Nan and my website is SeedforSecurity.com. Check us out. Here in New England we've had a really wet summer, which is good for basil. Basil must like the water because we've got a ton of it in the garden. And my family loves pesto, so I make a lot of it, and I decided to share my recipe with you folks. Now the first thing you do is gather your basil, which I did this morning. Make sure you gather it fresh when you're making this recipe. And I washed it. Just kind of put it under the faucet, flick it off, and use a little bit of cool water, and then just a regular kitchen towel to dry the leaves. They don't have to be bone dry. Just get most of the water out. Next, you take the leaves off and you put them into a 2-cup measure. What you want is 2 cups of loosely packed basil leaves. Okay. Don't use leaves that aren't perfect. We have plenty. And don't use the woody stems in this recipe. What I do with the woody stems is I give them to my chickens. We've got 19 laying hens that love anything green. They'll peck at those and have themselves a good time. Okay, 2 cups. We're getting there. And I put them into a blender. You can also use a food processor. I think the blender's a little bit easier. I kind of push them down a little bit. Now to this, I add a dash of salt. I like sea salt. Just 1 or 2 little flakes. And we can add some more later if we need to. We taste, make sure. Now, I'm going to add some garlic. I used minced garlic. And our recipe calls for 1/2 clove to 2 cloves. My family loves garlic, so I use the maximum amount, 2 cloves. 1 teaspoon equals a clove of this minced garlic. 2 cloves of garlic in with our basil and salt. Next, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of pine nuts. 1, 2, and a 1/2 cup of good quality olive oil. I use the extra virgin. Make sure you have good olive oil and make sure that it's fresh. I've had olive oil that has turned rancid, and you don't want that. Whatever you put into the recipe, you get out of the recipe. My mother always said that, and it's true. Now we add about half of this 1/2 cup of olive oil, so about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, to this mixture. Put the cover on tightly and push the puree button. Mixing it all together. Stop and scrape down the sides. Kind of push the leaves into the blades. Push down those bits of garlic. It smells so beautiful. Okay, I'm going to add the rest of my oil. So a total of a 1/2 cup. And push the puree button. Let that work. It's your puree mix. Okay, I'm going to look at it now. Needs to be mixed just a little bit more. I see good sized leaves of the basil, and I don't want that. All in one. Oh, this is going to be so good this winter. Mix it with pasta. Oh, sometimes put it on pizzas. I've even used it with scrambled eggs. Oh, doesn't stay long at my house. Okay, we pour this mixture into a bowl. Scrape out all the good parts here. Make sure we have it all. Again, you can use a food processor or a blender. My food processor is big, and I only use that for big things like zucchini relish. I have a wonderful recipe for zucchini relish. My son loves that. That's a big job, so I use my food processor. But for basil, pesto, I just use the blender. Okay, so we have this mixture here now, and to this, we are going to add a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Our recipe calls for freshly grated Parmesan. I did that last year. I got the Parmesan cheese on sale. It's very expensive. So this year I'm using the pre-grated. I've tried some already. It's very good. You can hardly tell the difference, and it's a lot less expensive. And we add this to this mixture, the cheese. Blend it in very well. As you can see, takes a little bit of effort to get it all mixed. This would be enough pesto for about a pound of pasta, or to make a big pizza. You can see how pretty that is. And oh, I wish you could smell it. It is beautiful smell. Fresh, fragrant. Now, today I'm going to freeze this for the winter. Like I said, I have so much basil. Put this into a freezer container, and I have kept pesto very well in the freezer for 6 months. It's good in the winter. I tasted summer in the winter. You can't beat it. Put the cover on. I use a screw top. You want to make sure that the cover's on very securely. I've had other containers that kind of pop off. It spoils what you have in there. And always label what you have. Pesto, P-E-S-T-O. And this is August 12th, 09. Don't forget the 09. Okay, and that will go in my freezer before too long. Now, like I said, the woody stems will go to my chickens, but there's a lot more good leaves here. And I could either make more pesto, or I could take these leaves off and mix them with a tiny bit of olive oil, just a little bit to coat it. Put these into a Ziploc freezer bag, again labeled. And this is very nice. I can put it into a sauce when I make spaghetti sauce for the winter. So I want plenty of basil on hand. I use basil and it's very tasty. Well, again, let's go over the recipe. You need 2 cups of loosely packed basil leaves, 2 tablespoons of pine nuts, 1/2 to 2 cloves of garlic, 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil, and 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I hope you enjoy your pesto.